Welcome to Factorio MSX Gigabase. Okay, so today I believe I have promised we will be doing a revamp of the smelter stack. Now, my first consideration was I can get rid of a bunch of these inserters. Doing that at the mining load platforms, the ore where the ore is loaded, made a significant difference to the UPS cost of our ore mining period, and actually pulled us back from the brink with UPS sinking dangerously low. At the moment it's not even halfway towards somewhere that you consider dangerous, but that's because the factory's doing basically nothing. So that doesn't really count. So yes, the first concept I had was we would remove a whole platform, so we'd go down to just an ore and the finished product, and we would share 3 inserters each, and that would enable us to crunch up this side as close as that basically. And we'd get a benefit because we'd be reducing all of these inserters over all of our stacks, which is quite considerable. It's bigger than the ore saving that we've had already. But I've been rethinking that, and in fact I'm at the Make Everything at my planning facility, and here in fact we are. Okay, so this is the standard north and south surround, only 2 sides surround furnace stack. You have a crafting speed of 9.4, you have plus 20% productivity. If we come over to our fully surrounded furnace stack, you have a crafting speed of 13.4 with the 20% productivity. That's better than a 40% gain, going from 9.4 to 13.4. We can reduce a 720 item stack to about 509 smelters. Now that's a saving of over 210 smelters, but then it's also a saving of, because you need an in and an out. That's not actually wide enough, but you need an in and an out. So for every one of these you save 2 of these, and you save 2 boxes as well, because you've got one of those and you've got one of those. So for each one of these you save, there's actually 5 entities saved. So if we're going to save 210 per stack of 720, that is a total of 1,050 entities per stack, per smelter stack. That's huge. So yes, that's what I think of doing it the old way. So this will be our test bed, and what I basically plan on is, we're gonna kind of have to redo this sort of in its entirety. I don't want to run over that iron if I can help it. There is a cost involved in going to this format, and that is obviously it takes a lot more space. You are using less inserters, but you don't have furnace hard up against each other as you do. Oh, there we go. So you don't have furnace, next one here. You've got this considerable gap, and it's also slightly taller. This needs to be taller anyway, but that's beside the point. So to get basically 510, or 507.8, it actually works out, but to get 510, if we divided that by 4 for 4 stacks, we'd need 127 per stack, and that's 6 rows, so we'd need rows of 21. The most we've used in the past has been down here where we have our, I think it's 13 across. Shall we just check that quickly? Yeah, 13 across. And as you can see, 13 across is already quite a bit wider than your standard 383, so we don't want to keep getting wider and wider and wider. But I am prepared to go to 14, and if I go to 14 I can actually do 6 of these stacks, and that will give me enough to match one of these. And just a moment. And back. So yes, so if we do 6 stacks of 14 wide, so it will likely be taller. I may need to move quite a bit of this stuff. And I'm going to do this one because, well, this one possibly would have the room, especially if we landfill a bit more. This one, I'm not sure yet until I've seen what it's going to do to this one, whether we'll have enough room or not. I am also thinking that it's quite likely I'm going to want to extend this back here and just start drawing from outside the perimeter. Let's call this the perimeter. It makes it easier for me. Now I do want to just check how long we have already had, because I don't have any idea just yet. It looks like only about 5 minutes or so. That's good. So that gives me an idea of how long we can go for. Right. Not that I'll probably stick to it. So if we have this pattern, what I could do, I guess, is, do I have some beacons? Yes, I do. We may as well make a bit of a statement here as to just go in there. A bit of a statement regarding what we are trying to. I mean, it's not going to be this 4 deep. Don't worry about that, and don't worry about this stuff just at the moment. I'm experimenting there with some future designs that will come into effect very, very soon. So you'll get to see them when they are ready and not before. What have we got here? One of those, please. Okay, so that is a furnace. What have we done wrong? Oh, yeah, we're too far over. It's not quite as big as I was making out, so we want that there so that it reaches those. Yes, that's better. So you get surrounded, and that gives you the benefit. And this would be here if there was another matching set. Now that is out of place. We definitely don't want that there, and I'm going to have this being the bottom, so we will have a requester, and whoops, passive supply, and these things are going to be going so fast, I think it's just safer to use stack inserters. So that's the basic building block. It's that was how I fixed my supply train, and I managed to corrupt slightly. This is furnaces, electric furnaces. Let's put a beacon after it so I know. Furnace building block. There you go. Have a name that actually means something. Right, without any further delay, we are going to, I suppose I should give you a basic setup, shouldn't I? Engineering, yeah, that's probably the one that I want you to have, rather than that one. Just pick up some spares, just in case. None of it's specifically related to furnaces, but we're going to have a lot of furnaces that we're able to pick up anyway, so it's not going to be an issue. I just don't know what I'm going to do with all the trains that are there at the moment and all the ore. How are we going? Still quite a bit to count down. Well, while it does that, let me just show you a few other things. So that's the solar we now have. We certainly have the horsepower to build the solar very fast. In fact, the main thing that is holding us back is actually the landfill. This, what was 40-something million is now 21 million, and it's taking a while to refill the landfill train between trips. So this one here is 85 million and it's in the way, so I'm planning to run a line in here and turn this into a second landfill source in parallel. When it's exhausted, we can then fill this block in with solar. But I'll do that between episodes because that's not really a... I think... Oh no, I did that between episodes. I don't think it's that exciting. I mean, I just basically stamp down these bits to do the processing, and then it's just a mine with loading up landfill. And actually this one could probably go down to 2 inserters for each bit, but that's beside the point. Alright, let's see how we are going here. Are we all done yet? It looks like we are, so let's head to Copper Smelting 4. Hashtag for our own engineering stop. Have a sip of coffee while we go. Yes, if we mean to be serious about trying to preserve our UPS, we have to find efficiency everywhere that we can, and certainly there'll be more said about efficiency in some of the future plans I have as well that I haven't talked about yet. There's only so much information that I can impart per episode, because I haven't worked out all the subtleties of it all myself yet, so I'm learning and thinking about this as we're going along. That's what makes it exciting for me. And here we are finally at Copper Smelting 4. It's not the 4th copper smelter, but the copper is even numbered and the iron is odd numbered. Right, there we are. So, oh, I don't want you to do that. What a waste. No. Right, bots, come over here. We will disable you for the time being. Once you've all returned to the fold, that must be it. Alright, be gone. Now, let's can the entrances here. I don't want any more ore coming in. Send this away. Go to copper 7. You're going to copper 7 as well. Off you go. So basically what that means is this area must be absolutely chocker with look at that, 864,000 copper plate. Yes, well that's a bit of a problem for me. What I'm going to do is I'll drive this one out of here. Leave it up there. Actually, I can probably turn it on to automatic now, because it will stay up there. We'll just block everybody else. But that is fine. That is fine. So, what we are going to do is, for starters, we will rip out all of the beacons. the robots are doing for me. Secondly, this revision still calls for only one train to come in at a time, because we'll have slightly longer with each train, and that's entirely okay. So we can get rid of all of this. Now, how much ore do we have sitting in here? Quite a lot. That's going to be a bit of a problem. So I don't actually have any just general storage. I didn't think of that. I didn't think of the mechanics of ripping this lot out too well, it would seem. Alright, what we will do is let's change that to like 100. Let's change that to like get 500 or so, 400, something like that. Get the supply train, which should still be working. Shouldn't take it very long to pick up that sort of cargo. In fact, it's good to go already. It can help us out in a big way here. We can probably rip out these furnaces. Let's do that. And the inserters. Are they? Oh, they're putting. Right, that's not. Oh no, that should be fine. In the supply chest. Yep, that should be fine. It's not going to rubbish these things. I don't need this thing. It's an artifact from bygone age, I think. How's the supply? Whoops! How is the supply train? It's on its way. We've only got 100 construction bots, so getting another 400 or so should help quite a lot, and we'll give them a decent piece of storage to put all these pieces into. Now, it might turn out that this is horribly in our way as well, but I guess we will cross that bridge when we come to it. There's another set of inserters here that I want to get rid of. Here we go. Awesome. So if I tell this now to give me 100 of those, and I'm not going to have room for all this stuff, am I? Let's make a big 10 by 10 just here. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. That is the correct number. So now construction bots. Let's say tell it to give me 100 at all times, and let's start throwing some in there. 1, 2. 3, 4, and there should be enough so that I have some of my own bots again, I think. Yes, not quite 100 it would seem, but that's alright. So that should help. So now we've got about 500 bots. Right, what we need to do now then is try and clear out all of these boxes and most of these things, all of that stuff. Maybe I should have got more construction bots. So it's likely to take a bit of time. See if there's anything I can help with to speed up the process. I don't really want 2,000 copper plates. I might just pause the recording here so that we can rejoin after these bots have finished that. Or, wow, update 15, what's the problem? The construction manager 7.6. There you go, it's gone utterly berserk. To try and cope with this. Big building projects, I tell you, they are the bane of Factorio performance. But fortunately, once it's built, you don't have to worry about it. Let us get a whole bunch more construction robots. Let's take that up to a couple of thousand. It won't take too long. I will rejoin you in a moment when this is done. And welcome back. So as you can see, I'm actually on a train. I had been doing a bit more landfill and laying down a bit more solar. The thing with over here is I've added a whole bunch of robots to it. Oh, they are completely out of storage. That's not good. It takes a long time to clear all of this because all of these are full. Actually, I'm heading in the wrong direction. I don't want to go there. I want to go to copper smelting 4. Let's go to the copper smeltery. What I'm going to do is I am going to shut off any more ore trains coming through to this smelter, and then I am going to turn the satellite launching back on. Which probably will require, might require some buffer chests or something to absorb all this extra space science, because this train is full and these aren't going to take much more. But the main purpose is because I preferentially use the copper from smelter 4. So if we can drain off some of the copper reserves, we will have a much more fun time in converting this over. That's my theory anyway, and I am going to stick to it for now. So yes, these ore trains will be blocked, and the smelters will just have to exhaust their current supply. Of course, we'll probably run out of rocket fuel on the way, but maybe not as badly as we did during our previous test. So if you see this number climb to something crazy, now you will know why. Do I have any? I've got 7 more. This is what has prompted this action, because they're not going to last. They're going to be filled up in a second and we still won't have this clear. I can't do this from afar. This is one thing I have to get close-ish to the rocket silo for, and obviously I'm going to have to create a engineering stop somewhere close to it, but I don't like to wreck the symmetry of the design that I have there. I kind of like it as it is. This is what I'm talking about. I mean, it's not perfect symmetry because obviously the trains always come in on the top and go out on the bottom, and there's a slightly wider gap between the two, but it works nonetheless. Now I do have requested chests. Yes, we'll add a few of them in. It will also get the factory to help burn up a bit of material, which is not altogether a bad thing either. Oh, we are where I want to be, so let's just stop. Actually, this guy doesn't. The fuel restop doesn't really work particularly well for this guy, so I'll refuel as soon as I go back to the engineering stop for any reason. But these ones, you definitely don't want that. Try that. You have none at all. Well, now you're properly powered. Right, so that's delivering satellites, but they're not going anywhere. In fact, I'm not actually sure why it delivered satellites, because it didn't unload any. But never mind, let's turn that on. Now, we're doing that. $204. Kick the factory into some sort of life. How's UPS? Construction manager has recovered somewhat. And it shouldn't take too many launches before the copper starts getting removed. We're starting to get a little bit of action from here. None of these have moved yet. I guess once we have a low density structure train return, we will probably get that sort of action. I don't know how long I'm going to run this, just hopefully until a bit of the immense copper reserve drains off. Let's go back to the copper smeltery and just see how big that is, so that we can get some idea of whether this will have the sort of effect that we want. Maybe I can get an idea from here up. So this one has almost 1 million copper, which means this one probably does too. Yep. And this one, I mean, given how many, how much copper we're going to use, if we have a look at all-time production, we've already used sort of 370 million almost. It's likely that we'll go well over 1 billion and probably over 2 billion. So storing in a smelter up to say 4 million in this one, because we weren't capping chests, is not a big deal. It might even save our bacon sometime if there's a sudden rush for some reason. Let's just see, are we getting any action? Not yet. I would expect that soon copper will be called in. Even just a few 100,000 copper would help. And we'll be able to use the space science at some point anyway. I think it has to get down to 16,000 before copper actually is called. This one might be soon. that one's also quite a long way away. Of course, it's quite fun just watching these things launch as well, but it's not helping us with our task. So yeah, we'll input signals -8, -7. What? What is going on here? Full cargo inventory. Oh, he doesn't have a weight condition. Full cargo inventory plus circuit condition. There you go. Stop the satellite train going backwards and forwards needlessly. And yes, none of this will be wasted. We will need all this space science. I'm really looking for some of these to be called. Never mind. Let's get back to it. We still don't have enough. Although we're a lot closer to it now. So these ones would be going like so. And that is effectively the design. These guys need to learn to charge somewhere else. You don't need to be there. Plonk the rest of this down. So that's what one side will look like. It's a bit wider, but that should be fine. That one goes too far, so we don't actually need that number. This one also goes too far, so we can trim that back, but just while we're clearing resources still, I might leave it there. It looks like we need 200 of these to cover all of the excess resources, so I will ask for some more. That shouldn't take the supply train too long to get here. In fact, maybe I should actually get 400 so that I can do this side as well. We had any action? No. How far off some action are we? 30. Where did you come from? Oh, you did come from the right place. Yes, this sort of nonsense is something we want to stop. So this this train is one of the copper trains for ore. So this is terrible, and part of this fix-up will be that it will come out this way. I think I mentioned that before. I'm not sure because I've broke for quite a while, but by doing that you don't get I have no idea what this train thinks it's doing. It may have been trying to skip some blockage, but it's waiting here, which means it's going to have to wait until there's a clear path through here to be able to move. So it's just, and it's also blocking up my stacker, but it won't be able to do that if it can't get to this side in this world, because none of the ore, it's all separated. So that is also part of what we'll do to eliminate stupidity from the trains and simplify the train pathing, because obviously if all they can do is path on a very small individual network, and you know, this one you could imagine also has a small individual network here, here, and you know, however many times we do it, likewise you add up all these little individual networks, you got a lot of trains, but none of them has a complex path to go down. Anyway, I think I will take another pause here and rejoin when hopefully we can make some more progress. There, the supply train is back. That should help us continue this cleanup. See you soon. And we're back, and that took some considerable time. In fact, I've turned off the launches after, well, what's not really very many, because basically our rocket fuel shortages were striking again, and it really wasn't helping that much. I'm back over here now where we can see where we're at. I had an awful lot of copper plate because I hadn't, I mean, given that we're going to be dealing with probably a couple of billion in this playthrough, having a few million stored away in chests to me isn't that big a deal, although it's probably a bit bigger a deal than it really should have been. So yeah, that kind of made things take a bit longer than they would otherwise. Our UPS certainly suffered from trying to move so many plates, and it was probably a little bit over the top, but that's okay. What I want to do now is, so we this will fill out 4. Oh no, it won't, because we need these guys, which are stuck. Whoops, I don't need all those guys. So this just gives me a measurement for where this next row goes, and the next row goes in line with that, of course. Something wasn't quite right here. Let's carry on here. This mechanism that is just in the way at the moment. There. So all these robots that have nowhere. Oh, these aren't connected. I see, this slot is not connected to the rest of it. So we need some more roboports rather urgently. Is there one of these that has nothing in it, or very little? Let's just put this down for a bit of bridging action, so all of this can treat itself as one, and they'll sort themselves out. So yes, that is it's actually slightly shorter because of the reduced space of the tracks in the middle, but only very slightly, and we are adding to that 2 more layers to get the same sort of total throughput. So more layers altogether. 1, 2, 3. More layers altogether, but less height within each layer, and of course far less furnace, well, far less entities altogether, which is how we get our benefit from it. Maybe what I'll do is I will pop down to the bottom, which is certainly not a fully working version yet, but it's a lot closer, and make a bit of a copy of sort of this bit. Blueprint. So we can get this up and running. That was not going to align to save itself. Well, that's fine. I don't need to do it on these bits yet. I mean, obviously eventually we do, but just now we don't. That's supposed to be about there. this one is supposed to be about there. So that just gives me a mark for where this needs to go, reversed around. And as suspected, we are going to run into this iron as we put down the 6th and final segment. Which is unfortunate, but we've done our best to clear out those areas that are in the way. And there we have it. So that is a stack capable of about 140 odd thousand iron per minute. This is just because we can't see it all, but it goes all the way up here. So now I need to re-thread these rails so that it handles just one per rather than 2 per, which actually simplifies things a little bit, and the exits of course. And we will shortly be able to bring this back online, but of course there is a phase 2 to this this process, and that is we're going to actually disconnect this one from feeding out here. My intention is that this copper up here will take over the task of clearing out all of these copper sources. They're really not that extensive at the moment, and it will give us an opportunity to explore how this whole process needs to be. Let me just check what sort of time has already, because I've done these in so many little bits over such a long time, because it took quite a while to let the bots clear out all of those pieces, that I kind of don't know how much time I've actually elapsed in this whole sequence yet. Not sure if it's all these bits. It could be. If it is all these bits, then we probably have done enough for this episode. So I guess we'll call it there. I will thread all of the new connections and extend the stacker, because I think clearly from these examples, or that one and this one, we need a bigger stacker than just 4, probably like a dozen. So I'll rework the stacker, and then on the next episode we will plot out what we're going to do with these, which actually is going to be quite interesting. It is not going to be just straightforward put down miners and connect them up. There's a little bit more to it that will help our UPS in the long run. So thanks for joining me for this rather bitsy and drawn out episode, and I will see you in the next. Bye bye for now.